good evening again. Just trying to do this video again, having a lot of mic problems, but hopefully it should work this time. I just wanted to comment for a few minutes about the presidential candidate Huckabee's response to the question on evolution. He doesn't outright describe what he believes as far as that goes. He just says he doesn't know, but he does entertain the possibility, and also has entertained that possibility in the past, according. Regardless, I wish to bring up another point about this that perhaps has more relevance. I believe that Huckabee is invoking in the American people a nostalgic mentality that returns the people into a very simplistic way of seeing the world as a godly nation, as a godly world, as a world with honor and shame and holiness and righteousness and evil and bad. That world, as it was known and as it was seen, simply doesn't exist anymore. We live in a world that's increasingly shrinking, a world that is increasingly world-centric and multiplistic in perspectives. And unless we can have a president who can see the diversity of perspectives and be able to handle them correctly and see through other people's mindsets and to see that different cultures see us differently and to help balance that in a healthy way. If he's not going to be able to do that, then he could be just as dangerous as the former president. Aside from that, I believe he's invoking the people that nostalgic mentality that excludes change for safety and security and tradition. He's bringing us to a time where things were simple, where we thought the world in a mythic structure of consciousness, and in other words, we believed in a mythic structure of consciousness. To quote Gene Gebser, would be a structure in which we have a right and wrong mentality, a story about the world in which we translate the world into something that we can understand. It may not necessarily be correct, but it's very black and white, very rule, order, honor, law-based. The American people have stemmed from such a mentality, and this was a dominant factor in the evolution of society. But as we increasingly become a more global civilization, such a mentality can be dangerous and is dangerous for the rest of the world. And it is the cause of many of the problems, including the war in Iraq, where we are completely mishandling the multiplicity of perspectives there. As one example, there in Iraq, it is an ethnocentric culture, and we're attempting to implant world-centric values on. And that itself is a paradox, because you can't force anyone to change their mentality. You have to understand where they're coming from first. They're not going to welcome democracy with open arms as a majority of them. They instead reject it. They instead don't want us there. And there are so many reasons for that. It's not that we're totally wrong and they're totally right. It's not that black and white. You have to understand where people come from and why they do what they do and why they think what they think. If we aren't seeing this, then we missing a big part of the puzzle. And a president who does not see the bigger picture is a president that is a danger to the rest of the world. Aside from this, a psychological analysis of this, people don't want change. They want the world to be a secure place, they want the world to be black and white, and they want to be in the white. Or they want to be in the black. In our case, we want to be in the white. We want to be in the holy. We want to be in the righteous and the honorable. And without American pride, we want to find a psychologically secure place to live within. And a presidential candidate that bases their campaign on returning America to this nostalgic, safe, psychologically secure mentality will definitely get praise and will definitely get support. And I think that's why Huckabee does have all the support he does, because he's appealing to our own mythic structured mentality. He's appealing to our desire for safety, security, in a world that's increasingly changing day by day. But I believe that the American people have to understand that they must face this fear in themselves and they have to acknowledge this, that the world is changing, and we can't fight that change. We have to work with it. We have to work with it as best we can, and we have to work with it with a big picture mentality, trying to solve the issues globally from a global perspective, so that everyone can begin to work together, so that there are less problems, there's less conflict, and there is less of a battle for ideologies and more of a battle for understanding. And I believe President Huckabee could not do that. So hopefully he will not be winning the election. Hopefully the American people will wise up and shift of the general mentality. This could be idealistic itself, but this is my great Huckabee.